What's going on, everybody? I'm Terrence, and this is Bank Shipping. Oh, what you say, everybody? What you say? It's not morning time, so I hope y'all up starting that grind. But we're doing something a little different today. Let me give y'all a look. Boom. Yeah, that's right. The old girl finally got some airlines on her. And we moving some empty trailers. Funny story, try to get it quick. But buddies of mine over at Interstate Trailer, their guy got hurt. The one that normally does the shuttle when they get done fixing their trailers or picking up trailers that need repair. So they asked me if I could do it. I said yes, I'd love to help y'all out. I only got one problem, I don't have airlines. So they agreed to help me out with the airlines if I would do them a solid and move these trailers. Now, yes, I'm getting paid to move these trailers. You know, some of it's a favor, but some of it's business. That's just the way it goes when you got friends in the business. So got the airlines on. It actually took us a couple days. I took off last Thursday and Friday to get it done. I thought we'd have it done in a day. Everybody thought we'd have it done in a day, but we had to trace the airlines. They actually didn't plug them and zip tie them. They took them completely off. So we had to trace all the way back to the tractor protection valve. That's where they had them capped off. So we got the airlines on, we got the box on, the airline box on. I had got me a pogo stick, short one, but the short one was gonna be too short where the lines would fall off of the deck plate and then get caught on things. You know, I got a piece of metal made for a deck plate. I still gotta polish it and all that stuff, but so we got the airlines on. I had to go get a bigger, taller pogo stick so to keep the lines off the deck, and had to get some shorter lines. So we got that done Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Called it quits Saturday. Everything was done. Did some stuff to my trailer too. I'll show y'all that in a little bit once I get back to it. But we got all that stuff done, and my airlines came in today. I went and picked up a load of insulation that delivers tomorrow, then came back, got the airlines put on, hooked to this trailer, and lo and behold, it's not enough room to turn because my truck had been shortened previously. I didn't do it, the previous owner did it. So that caused some problems because I couldn't do a 90. Now, when you're backing into a dock or these empty spaces, if you can't back up at a 90-degree angle or more, jackknife it, it's going to be a problem. So I ended up having to take the pogo stick completely off and actually unbolt my fifth wheel plate and move that back. Now my fifth wheel is a sliding fifth wheel, but I had it slid all the way back, and it still wasn't enough room. So we had to unbolt it and move it back a bolt hole, re-bolt it, take the pogo stick off, put the lines up, mount it on the grab bar on the back of the truck, and that gave me plenty of room. So the only thing is, you know, this has showed me some things about my truck that I need to address. I got a lot of thinking to do, just because, you know, I thought maybe once I got airlines on, I'd be able to haul, you know, empty trailers or trailers that were lightly loaded. The only problem is, because my truck is so short and I have to have my fifth wheel slid all the way back, I can't actually get the kingpin directly over my rear axles. So that would cause some problems when scaling out if I had a load in the trailer. So that's what I got, some things to think about. So, but we're gonna drop this trailer. I got another one to pick up at a different location right down the road, and I'll get back to y'all. All right, so we are back at the yard. It's raining, so I ain't gonna be long. But that trailer that I just dropped off was a repair. It had just been repaired. Took that back to Family Dollar, then had to go down the road to Home Depot and pick up a JB Hunt trailer that needed repairs. They said that the back door hinges or something wrong with the back doors. When I got there and picked the trailer up, it was sitting at a dock. So I got to the dock, hooked up, pulled it out, went to shut the doors, and it was so jacked up that one of the doors, the left door, was hanging down at the back rail, and the right door was hanging up, like pushed up towards the top rails so much to where you couldn't even see the 3 red clearance lights on the back of the trailer. The door was covering that because the doors were so twisted and jacked up. So I sort of got them closed because I couldn't use, you know, the turnbuckle, the hitch for the door, because the doors were so twisted. So I barely got one to catch, and then they had some wire that I basically tied around the rails in 2 different spots just to keep it, you know, it was only going 4 miles down the road, so just to keep the doors from opening up. So I got that dropped off, got my 5th wheel slid back forward, and now I'm hooked back up to my trailer. We have a 2-stop load that goes in the morning, little load, nothing on the top deck, just a 40-foot load, 10 skids, 6 skids go to the 2nd stop, 4 skids go to the 1st stop. So one thing I did, well, I talked about, you know, what I did to my trailer. This is what I did. So if you guys remember, everything used to be hooked under here. You know, my 7-way, and then I had put that other charging cable under here. Everything was hooked under the deck. But so that I didn't have a bunch of different plugs to interchange and all that, I just decided to go to a regular semi 7-pole on this trailer. Now, in order to do that, because 7-pole and 7-way RV are different, because when you're in a semi, you don't need a brake signal, an electric brake signal, to operate brakes, because you have air brakes. So 7 poles don't have that. So what you have to do is, I don't know if you guys can see it up in here, try it, might be kind of dark. I think it's too dark. Anyway, it's called a Roadmaster Bright Right wiring converter. So what it does is it takes 2-way wire and converts it into 3-way wire. So basically you hook it directly into the 7-pole of the trailer, 2 wires hook into that, and it makes 4 wires, because your brakes actually operate off of your turn signals on a 7-way RV plug. So what it does is it takes your turn signals from the 7-pole and splits them into 4 wires so that you can operate your brakes. Now, I still use the same brake controller, which is the air actuated brake controller. I thought I was going to have to ditch it for the way that the airlines were ran, but we had to figure out a different way, because since my truck is a little older from factory, if you can tell, so those aren't my tail lights, those are my brake lights that are on right now. So because from factory, some of the older trucks, anytime the parking brake is engaged and the truck is on, your brake lights stay on. So since the other, I had bought a P3, Prodigy P3 brake controller. But since it is an all electric brake controller, it's got to be tied into the brake light switch. Well, since my brake lights stay on, if the truck is parked with the parking brake engaged, tractor brake engaged, the brake lights stay on. So that would mean that it would send a constant signal to the hydraulic pump in the trailer. So essentially, eventually, it would burn my pump up, because the pump would just be running all the time. So what we did is we basically just teed off an airline and ran it back to the air actuated brake controller. Now the air actuated brake controller does work better. At first, I've been wanting to ditch it for a while because it was such a delay in the thing. When it finally worked, it worked good, but you had to get on the pedal a little bit for it to actually send air to the brake controller, and for the brake controller to sense and send it back to the hydraulic pump, yada yada yada. So there was a huge delay in that brake controller. Well, the reason probably is, I'm just hypothesis here, the reason that it took so long is because they only had a 1/4-inch line running back to the brake controller. So you had to get on it, the brake a lot, to actually get enough air through that 1/4-inch line to the brake controller. So we teed it off, made from a bigger line. So now basically, as soon as I step on the pedal, that air actuated brake controller operates. So works a whole lot better. So that's what I did. So this right here is the 7-pole, just like a regular tractor trailer 7-pole. And then this, what I did is I put a 2-pin, like a liftgate charger. I used a 2-pin in place of what I used, like that winch connector in the back for. So now everything runs to the front. I have this 2-pin that basically I only use for this trailer. Now some people use 2 pins or 4 pins for semi trailers if they have lift axles or dump valves. Sometimes they'll use that, but basically for me, I only use this 2-pin if I'm hooked up to my own trailer. So and then of course I'll tie up my other glad hands, my service line and emergency line, and that's my airline box. I got this deck plate made, but probably gonna have to get another one made, because now that we had to move the 5th wheel back, you can see if I can get this in here, you can see the gap here, so it's really not a lot securing that down. So I don't know if I'm gonna get another piece made, or if I'll just put like a piece of flat iron right there and weld it to the 5th wheel bracket and then bolt it down, something to cover it up. Not exactly sure what I'm gonna do. Not very pressing at the moment. Kind of looks kind of ugly because it hasn't been polished yet or anything like that, but whatever, it works. And temporarily I have this spring right here holding the 2-wire, just because nowhere in stock had one of these right there that was a 4-hose holder. So got one of those in order, gotta wait for that. So that's pretty much it. Right here where this bolt is, that bolt right there, that used to be my pogo stick. I had bought a pogo stick, bought a short one first, found that the short one was too short. It was going to allow the airlines to set on my deck, and then if I turned sharply, they'd fall off the deck and catch the 5th wheel angle iron or something like that. So I bought a taller pogo stick, got the taller pogo stick on, and then of course when I hooked to the dry van, I needed the clearance, so I had to take the pogo stick off, and then I just went and got one of these. Good thing I already had one of these rails on the back of the truck, so everything worked out. But one thing that this has showed me is that my truck needs to be longer, just because it was shortened by the previous owner to get in and out of campsites. I knew that. I didn't think it was going to cause an issue because I thought it was long enough, but evidently it is not. So this leads to the scenario of, do I stretch it and leave it a single axle, or do I stretch it and turn it into a tandem? That's the dilemma I'm in right now. I'm leaning towards turning it back into a tandem. We'll see how that works out. Of course, there's a lot of logistics that go into that, as far as downtime, making sure you got the money to be down, making sure you have the money for a cutoff, making sure you have the money for the parts and labor and all that stuff that it's going to take to stretch the truck. It's not very labor intensive, I should say. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you get a cutoff, you basically just bolt it, weld it, double frame it, lengthen all your electrical lines, air lines, everything that needs to be lengthened, and it's pretty much there. It's pretty self-explanatory to stretch a truck. It's just finding a place to do it, having the money to do it, so on and so on. I'm leaning towards going to a tandem just because it keeps my options open. I thought this would keep my options open as long as things were light enough, but now I'm seeing, because my truck is so short, I won't even be able to haul a loaded drive van because I can't get my kingpin over my drive axle. So I'd have a terrible time trying to scale any weight, because all the weight would be on the trailer axles, not enough on the drive axles. Might get enough, but it'd be a terrible ride because the kingpin will set so far behind the drive axle. So that's my dilemma. That's the way I'm leaning towards. Plus I kind of got some ideas of things I can do in the winter time when flatbeds and step deck stuff slows down. So who knows? We'll see. I thought I was going to have it as a single axle a lot longer. It still might be a single axle for a little while until I get things situated. I don't know. Still one of those things I'm trying to figure out. You know, my original plan was to keep this as a single axle the way it was, and my next truck was going to be a tandem. But it might be cheaper to stretch this to a tandem and then worry about getting another truck at a later date. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, head to the house, spend some time with the fam. I'll see y'all in the morning. And just like that, got 2 loads dropped off, got back, picked up another load, 48-foot load of insulation, goes to Maryland in the morning, and we are back at the yard. So had to wait at Kingspan forever. I got there like 1:30, didn't get loaded till about 5 o'clock. Here the last couple months, it's been in and out, no problem. There for 2 hours, by the time you get loaded, strapped. whole ordeal. But the last couple weeks, man, they just been slow as all get out. I don't know what it is. Today I know what it was. You know, there was another Hotshot guy in the bay. They only have one bay that you can use if you're a gooseneck or a step deck, because it's got a raised floor. So it's only one of those bays. Well, there was a Hotshot in there. He got loaded. So once you get loaded, the rule is once you get loaded, you pull out and you back in between the doors, and that's where you do your strapping and tarping. Well, these guys decided they were going to strap inside the door. I guess nobody told them that they had to move or nothing like that. I guess no fault of their own. And then once they were told to move, they pulled out of the door, but they sat in front of the door instead of backing in between the doors. So, you know, when I finally went over there and asked them if they could move, they had like 4 straps left to tighten down. They were like, we're just going to tighten these straps and then we'll be out of here. So I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, I've been waiting here a couple hours with a few more minutes. So they got strapped up and they pulled out and I backed in. And then once I finally got in the door, it was a relatively quick process. You know, I started getting loaded around 5, little after 5, and I was out of there by 6 o'clock. So, you know, it was fast after I got loaded. It was just a wait. But yeah, so we'll hit it back in the morning. Ready for this day to be over. Mine's just all out of sorts. Good friend of mine yesterday, his son passed away tragically in a car accident yesterday morning. You know, and I've known that kid since he was a baby. You know, promising young man, on the up and up. You know, was about to start a career in the fire service just like his dad. You know, so you know, especially when you got kids of your own, you know, you don't really want to think about that. You know, they always tell you, you know, you're not supposed to bury your children, but then, you know, in the same breath, they tell you, you know, God makes no mistakes. So, you know, to me, you know, I think it's a life gone too short. But like they say, you know, God makes no mistakes. He's in a better place. You know, but it's still, for the people down here on earth, you know, it still sucks. You know, and I actually, on my way back from Richmond, back up here, I actually had to drive past the spot where it happened. So, you know, that sucked too. You know, so I'm just ready to call it a day, go home, kiss my kids and everything, and start over in the morning. You know, it's just been one of those days. You have those days, but it all depends on what you do to press through those days is what really matters. So with that being said, everybody stay prayed up, grind hard, and stay humble.